Meeting of the Monterey Planning Commission for Tuesday, 11 February 2025. Erica, could you please do a roll call and let people know how to get in touch?
Sure. Chair Bluth,
Here.
Vice Chair Silva,
Here.
Commissioner Dawson,
Here.
Commissioner Freeman. Go ahead and mark Commissioner Freeman absent,
Noah Star.
and Commissioner Fletcher. And we've been notified from Commissioner Brassfield and Commissioner Latassa that they will be absent. Staff members present are Planning Manager Levi Hill and myself, Recording Secretary Erica Barrera. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at monterey.gov/agendas. Remote commenters will be muted until it's their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you're connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome.
So on the consent agenda, it looks like we just have the notes from January 28th. Any comments on the notes? Anybody in the chambers have any comments on the notes? Anybody online, Erica?
There are currently no attendees online.
Oh, that's good. All right, well then, do we have a motion then? Motion and second?
Oh, abstain. Wasn't here.
Okay,
Second.
second. So you have a motion and a second. Erica, could you please do a roll call?
Sure. Chair Bluth,
Yes.
Vice Chair Silva.
Yes.
Commissioner Dawson.
Abstain.
Okay.
Does that pass or do we need to do it next meeting?
It's a simple majority of those present.
And Commissioner Fletcher.
Let's see. So we'll move on to comments that are not on the agenda. Does anybody in chambers have any comments that are not on our agenda? None. Anybody online yet?
There are no attendees online.
Okay, then let's move to the first public appearance item. Recommend the city council amend Monterey City Code, chapter 38, section 38 or 28, 39. And yeah, I didn't bring my glasses. And 38, 32 to add bicycle and equipment rentals as a principal permitted use in the community, commercial, and Cannery Row and zoning districts. Levi, you're going to give us a presentation?
I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
As Chair Bluth mentioned, tonight's public. Can you hear me? All right. Okay. Tonight's public appearance item is a zoning amendment for bike rental, specifically amendments to sections 3829 and 38-32 of the Monterey City Code. And staff recommendation is that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution recommending that the City Council amend Monterey City Code chapters 38, section 3829 and 38-32 to add bicycle and equipment rentals as a principally permitted use in the community, commercial C2 and Cannery Row CR zoning districts. So a little bit of background on how we got to where we're at today, and I'll minimize this so we can see everything. There we go. So in 2022, City Council adopted Ordinance 3651. And what this ordinance did was establish the definition for bike and equipment rental land use. And it's shown here on this slide and defined below, but summarized, it captures Class 1 and Class 2 electric bicycles, along with typical pedal power bicycles, and does not include Class 3 electric bicycles. And as ancillary, it includes any associated equipment that you would have with bike rentals with the use of bicycles, such as helmets, gloves, etc. Furthermore, the city council in that adopted ordinance added the bicycle and equipment rental as a principally permitted use in the following areas. It's the open space zoning district, and then the lighthouse specific plan area, and then the downtown specific plan area. So currently, under the existing regulations, these are the areas that bicycle and equipment rental is a principally permitted use. And then that brings us to the proposed amendment, which would expand the zoning districts in which that bicycle and equipment rental land use would be permitted. Where it's being proposed to expand to is the community commercial C2 zoning district and the Cannery Row CR zoning district. As noted on the slide, there are no changes being proposed to the actual definition for bicycle and equipment rental. It would continue to encompass, pedal powered bicycles and class 1 and 2 electric bicycles. So Monterey City Code Section 38-195B states that amendments to the zoning regulations shall be initiated on a motion of the City Council or the Planning Commission or the action of Community Development Director or by any member of the public. This particular application was initiated by city staff. Furthermore, Section 38-198B states that specific findings must be made by the Commission to determine whether the proposed zoning regulation amendments are consistent with the policies and purpose of the city's general plan and zoning ordinance. And we'll get into that in the following slides. So starting with consistency with the city's general plan, specifically the circulation element, there's a number of goals and policies that support the proposed amendment and expansion of bicycle rental and equipment, rental of bicycle and equipment as a principally permitted land use in a greater area of the city. Starting with goal D is shown here, which is generally to promote a pedestrian bicycle friendly environment through our spaces, streets, and off-street paths for a level of convenience, safety, and attractiveness that encourage and reward the use of alternative modes of transportation. Furthermore, policy D1 states that we should build on the success of the recreation trail and make walking and cycling through Monterey safe and enjoyable. Moving beyond the city's general plan, the city also has adopted, the city council adopts a vision, mission, value drivers, and strategic priorities. And this amendment is supported by a couple of those as well, starting with the quality of life strategic priority, which is shown here on the slide. And then also the active mobility value driver, which states that we should expand opportunities for people of all ages and abilities to bike and walk safely through active transportation, accessibility, and safety features. And to get into a little bit of the consistency with the zoning ordinance, specifically the community commercial C2 zoning ordinance is intended to provide sites for retail shopping areas containing a wide variety of commercial establishments, including retail stores and businesses. And then, of course, there's specificity here, but included as specialty items, restaurants, commercial, recreation, service stations, and other businesses. And similarly, the Cannery Row zoning district is intended to provide for the development of the Cannery Row area into a distinct visitor commercial area, including a broad range of specialty and general commercial, service, recreation, and public and semi-public uses that are consistent with the general plan and Cannery Row plan. So in summary, staff finds that the proposed amendments to expand bicycle and equipment rental as a principally permitted use would further facilitate a broad range of commercial activities in two of the city's primary commercial zoning districts. It would provide additional recreation opportunities for residents and visitors of the city, would continue to limit commercial uses to commercially zoned properties, and is found to be consistent with the policies of the city's general plan and the city's value drivers and strategic priorities. And in conclusion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution that recommends the City Council amend Monterey City Code Chapters 38-29 and 38-32 to add bicycle and equipment rentals as principally permitted uses in the C2 and CR zoning districts. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Yep.
I see in our report here that the class of bicycles reference to an ordinance or a code that's the state code. Can you just briefly refresh my memory?
Absolutely. And I'll go back to the definition so it can maybe actually I'll just. Yeah, so what it's referencing is the California Vehicle Code, and that's where electric bikes are kind of distributed into those three classes. So it's the class 1, class 2, and class 3, and those are based on around speeds that those cycles can reach, and also if whether or not any pedal motion is required for the operation of those bikes. And that's so as this definition references those classes and includes class 1 and class 2 under the California Vehicle Code definitions.
Okay, so on the speed part of it, are they throttled to not exceed a speed, or they can exceed speed, but
Yeah, if you give me just a moment, I'll pull up the actual definitions. Okay, so for class 1 is a low-speed pedal-assisted electric bicycle, a bicycle equipped with a motor that provides assistance only when the rider is pedaling, and that ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 20 miles per hour. Class 2 is a low-speed throttle-assisted electric bicycle, and this is a bicycle equipped with a motor that may be used exclusively to propel the bicycle and that is not capable of providing assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 20 miles per hour. So both capped at 20 miles per hour.
Peter?
Thank you, Levi. What would happen in the event that one of these rental places, if this were to be approved, starts to rent class 3 bikes? How is that enforced?
So they would not, it would still not be allowed under the actual definition of the use. So any operator under this land use as defined here would be limited to class 1 and class 2s because the definition itself precludes class 3.
Right, I understand that, but what would happen
Oh, it'd
if
be
it
a
was a
code.
violation?
Yeah, it'd be a code enforcement issue, and so it'd be an unpermitted use essentially.
And I remember from our last planning commission hearing, there was a brief discussion about code enforcement, and that it's not something that the city goes out and drives around and looks for problems. It's usually reported by somebody. Is that?
That is correct. Our code enforcement division is complaint based primarily.
Yeah. Thank you, Levi.
Sure.
What about North Fremont Street? You've got the ability to rent a bike supposedly in a C2 in Cannery Row, but what happens with North Fremont?
Yeah. So as written, the bicycle and equipment rental land use is currently only permitted in the open space, lighthouse, and downtown specific plans. This amendment would expand it to the C2 and CR. The North Fremont area would continue to not be an allowed use there, being that that's regulated by the North Fremont specific plan.
Okay.
So under the proposed amendment, nothing would change for North Fremont.
And why did this whole thing come about? Was there a bunch of people lining up outside City Hall looking for permits to build?
We had certainly received interest in the planning office of people trying to locate these types of businesses outside of those specific plan areas. And we're specifically, I think, looking in the C2 and Cannery Row areas. And we're running into issues with where that was a permitted use. So that's yeah,
Okay.
why
Thank
these
you.
areas were targeted.
So Sandy's not here. I'll bring this up for her, but is this a good opportunity to request that the city council or city staff also look at the safety issues on the bike path?
So this is more centered around the zoning aspect of the actual rental use. So while the two are related and so to speak, they're kind of two separate issues. One is simply the land use component of these establishments being able to rent this type of equipment and these types of bikes. Well, the other is more of an operational conversation to be had about the recreation trail in general.
Might be able to make the logical jump from additional vendors, more activity, and therefore there's a safety issue that may come out of it. And so along with making this recommendation, Planning Commission also would suggest that city council look at safety issues associated with the bike path.
Yeah, again, I think that would be something better expressed separate than a motion established with this, rather than a more appropriate as like a public comment to city council separately.
I would think that the city council would just refer it to us.
It's more of an operational standard that extends beyond chapter 38, which is the zoning code. So it's a little bit outside of the purview of this commission, and it's more of a citywide.
More public safety
Yeah.
than
Just
land
seems
use.
like a good end. It's like having your shoe in the door. I remember Sandy was pretty concerned about the electric bikes, and we're talking about that. We're talking
Mhm.
about additional activity that will result from these new businesses. So, but good point. So, any further comment on from us? Yeah. Anybody in the chambers have any questions? Come on up.
Question for public comment.
Or public comment, sorry, yes.
That's okay.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jeff Davy, and I am doing a lot of leasing here on the peninsula, along with some other real estate activity. I'm one of the individuals that did come to the city and say, hey, we're having a challenge. In one case, in our case, a property located at 550 Wave Street. It's a two-story building on Wave. Of course, it's on the path, and there's a very successful cafe there, been there for years. There was a candy shop that closed about 2 years ago, and I've been asked to try to rent it out, and I've had a heck of a time. It hasn't been rented in almost 2 years now. So suddenly a bike user came along, and they're relocating from the ATC, and so we've got them wanting the space, and of course, they don't qualify because of this discrepancy. So that's one of the reasons I'm here, and I'm supportive of this motion or this ordinance, because I think it kind of rounds it out and makes it right. So that's the reason. I'm also here on behalf of that property owner. The Jack Hakeem is the owner of that building, and he's asked me to express his concerns and hopefulness that you will adopt it. Obviously, the concern is safety was brought up. It's a good point. I tend to agree that perhaps this could evolve into some sort of a further analysis about how to make that path more safe. I walk it as much as I can as well. I prefer to go in the weird hours when there's not as many people there. That's just what I do. But I think that's a bigger issue that might be warranted in general, and perhaps it could be an extension or offshoot of this. But I would be a strong advocate for the ordinance change as recommended. I think it's a better and more fair playing field for those buildings, those properties, as well as the people using the path and the types of businesses that are down there. I also don't think you should be concerned about an onslaught of many stores opening up like this. It's a relatively niche market. You've got a handful of them already, and there's only a handful of vacancy. But that's anyway, I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Dobby.
Members of the city council. My name is Joaquin Sullivan. I'm the aforementioned guy who came along asking about renting the space. I'm with Big Sur Adventures, and so we've got a spot right now of about 4,000 square feet in the American Tin Cannery with a bunch of bikes. And we actually opened up another shop over on Sunset Drive. We have been concerned about the safety a lot because, it comes on us if something happens and somebody gets hurt. And so that's always been something in the forefront of our mind. And I think it probably is something you want to bring up and address. Pretty early on, the city of Pacific Grove addressed it, and they added the 12-mile-per-hour speed limit after kind of looking at things. And that has really helped a lot. One of the things that we've done is we opened the other shop by Pebble Beach because we have a lot of people that want to ride 17-mile drive. If they want to ride fast, they call us up. We say, go over there. If they want to piddle along, we say, you go over to Pacific Grove to the Tin Cannery. So that has helped a lot. We haven't had any collisions with our people in Monterey on the path or anything like that. Typically, if they're on the path, they're riding really slow. However, I ride the path and I'm passed all the time. And I know that when you get out there, there's people who are flying along on regular bikes, on electric bikes. There's a variety pack. And so it's definitely something that in Monterey is bad because there's no posted speed limit sign. There's a lot of things. So it's definitely something you want to address. I also see these things that are called Surons out there riding around on the rec trail. Those are 4,000 watt electric motorcycles. They're not street legal. They're not legal on the path. They're not legal anywhere. So it's definitely a good idea, figure out what the law is. And I'd love to get rid of those because they're scary and they're dangerous. But what I think your concerns are definitely valid. We don't want class 3 e-bikes on the rec trail. And that whole conversation probably is for another time. But we definitely like the idea of having a spot in Monterey to kind of work with the tourists and provide something for them. And then we would be downsizing from the American Tin Cannery. This space is about a quarter the size of that. But we would have this for the slow riders. The fast riders go over to 17-mile drive. Do you have any questions that I could answer?
Sure, Dan.
Yeah, so is it typical for the class 1 and 2 bikes to have a speedometer on them?
Yes. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that came up when we were looking at all the research for Pacific Grove, they have found in all these different cities across the country that when they increase the number of cyclists in an area, the number of collisions between pedestrians, cyclists, and cars goes down. So interestingly enough, the bike quantity has everybody aware. And early on in Pacific Grove, when there weren't very many cyclists, it was a lot harder. Now there's a lot of bikes. Everybody's aware of everything. Oh, my time's up. So do you have any questions or should I just cut?
No, thanks for your comment.
Yeah.
I vote to let you keep talking.
Oh,
If you have any further ideas you want to pass on, feel free.
okay. Well, most of those would have to do with safety. So is there another meeting where you guys would discuss safety?
Well, we discussed that. I think it would be a great idea if you attend a city council meeting. There's public comment and comment not on the agenda as
Mhm.
we had earlier.
Okay.
And it would be great for you to bring it up then. You'll have 2 to 3 minutes. And you certainly are, I would consider an expert on the matter. So please feel free to bring those issues up at city council during public comment.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, riding in Monterey is the Wild West right now.
A week from today.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Erica, is there anybody online?
There are no attendees online.
Okay, we'll bring it back. Any further comment? Questions?
No, I'm in support of this. If I was to comment any further, it's a moot point of trying to talk about safety.
yeah.
I think this commission has brought it up at least 4 times that I can think of. And so it's obviously of a great concern to ours. Maybe we can have some dialogue with Levi as to what would be the best approach to maybe allow this to come forward.
Something that I brought up at a past meeting was, is there any enforcement of the speed? No, there isn't. There's nobody out there. There's nobody clocking drivers. There's nothing. So I think that's a big problem. Even if we had a sign, one of those electronic signs that you're going 15, your speed limit, the total limit is 20. So, slow down a little. Speed bumps. There you
May
go.
be dangerous. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the city council that we adopt the amendment as presented.
I'll second.
Great. Erica, we have a motion and a second. Could you please do a roll call?
Sure. Chair Bluth,
Yes.
Vice Chair Silva.
Yes.
Commissioner Dawson.
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries with the vote of 4.
Thank you. Anybody have any general comments?
I will not be here for the next meeting.
I will not be here for is there a meeting on the 11th?
Yeah,
I think there is.
Give me just a moment. I can pull up the next schedule.
I think that's on
I'll
Levi's.
check my numbers and I will call in because there's one meeting I am definitely missing.
So our next meeting will be February 25th are already received notice from Commissioner Latassa that he won't be attending that meeting either. So if we're down Commissioner Latassa and down Commissioner Silva, is everyone else going to be able to attend the 25th of February?
Here. I think 25th I'll be here.
Okay, then we can confirm with Sandy as to whether or not she'll be and Mike Grassfield. Cool.
Levi, do you have anything for us?
Yeah, let me switch back. Not too much more other than what was noted in the report. We have one item tentatively scheduled for our February 25th meeting. That item is an interesting one. I'll give you a little bit of a primer as to why it's coming before this commission, as whenever the staff report is released, you may be a little curious. It's for structural repairs of a VAF property, and per the city's charter, ordinary repairs and maintenance of VAF properties are required to come before the Architectural Review Committee, and ordinary and necessary maintenance of structural repairs are required to come before the Planning Commission for approval. So while it's a pretty, it may look to be a pretty mundane scope of work when you're reviewing the project, just know that the reason that you're viewing this and weighing in on this is due to the city's charter. We did look at ways that we could possibly streamline these in the future, but unfortunately it's looking like legally the only way to do that would be to an actual charter amendment via ballot measure. So fingers crossed that rises to the top at some point, but until then, maybe looking at some boring VAF repairs over time. So
Is this a facility at the top of Jefferson?
this is the scheduled one is at 2042 North Fremont. Yeah. So
So
that's all we have tentatively scheduled. Yeah, we will. Oh, and I will be out at that meeting as well. So don't be surprised when you don't see me.
it's a trend.
Yeah. So
Okay, well, we'll end at 4:27. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.
Good job.
Aye, aye.
Short and sweet.
Yeah. Well, Sandy